welcome back to One Non-Blonde. I'm your host, Kim, and I've got SoHo Johnny with me today. Hello, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show today, Kim.
I am so happy to have you. This has been a interview in the making. We had Hurricane Isaias come through Florida, kind of decided to just walk away, and then decided to shoot up your end of the world and took you out for over a week. So how are you surviving? I know you're just trying to get back on track. So how did things happen?
Well, I live in Westchester County, which is north of the Big Apple, New York City, and yeah, we sort of got a little black eye there because we had tornadoes, which are more uncommon to come with the hurricane. Touched down in different areas, took down power lines, and as far as internet service. So yeah, we went for almost a week and a half without that. Luckily, I have a generator, but my internet was out. But it's okay, we just bob and weave, like a prize fighter, and we overcome. I think that was saying by Muhammad Ali. He was a prize fighter. What was in the '60s, the '70s, back in the day.
Yeah, I know. We've like I said, I live in Clearwater, and so we're used, like, hurricanes are almost like a it's just like it's a thing. In fact, the last one that really was supposed to come through, bearing down us or 4 was Irma, and the last minute we did get some. I'm not gonna say we had none because I was out without power for 10 days. But she skirted, and I was saying that we have in Tampa Bay, there is this it's like a legend that the Native Americans in this area put a like a blessing or a curse, whatever you want to call it, over the mouth of Tampa Bay, and that we're saying that we will never have a hurricane. So I think a lot of us who've lived here, we're kind of spoiled because we think it's true, because every time a hurricane has been like barreling down at us, it just all of a sudden it'll just do this veer. And so we are spoiled. But the problem is, I think that we also kind of treated COVID that way. It's like, okay, give me a cat. What cat is it? And do I need a lot of water and toilet paper? And that's all we worried about. Because that's, we started preparing for COVID like we were preparing for a hurricane. And then it's like, oh, okay, it kind of skirted past us. But now we're hit again. So, I mean, that's the problem with us in Florida. We kind of take things a little too lightly.
Well, listen, I think now that we've experienced the remnants, we're still going through it, but a lot more on a controlled basis with the pandemic. I think, out of everything that you want to say is a negative, there's always positive, and it's the spirit of human nature. It's part of the things I talk about. And it's just going to make us stronger, more cautious, and being sanitary and cleanliness is always a good thing to have, pandemic or no pandemic. So people being more cautious and just more health conscious, and research. I mean, there's so many beautiful things that are happening now, people rising above, and we're going to have a vaccine, a cure, and everything. And so touch and go is, the risk and everything, but we're going to get through this. We will go forward.
No, I agree. And the thing is that I think that it brings, like you said, it brings us closer, because like you're in New York and I'm here in Florida, and we're finding ways to reach out to each other. We're finding ways to communicate, because it's so important. Because if we don't, it's like we're meant to be in communion. We're meant to be in a community. And I think even though like a lot of people are stuck in their homes, they have to find these outlets. And I know that one of the things that you're working with, and working with whom you're working with, is Scott Page, about kind of like this outlet. So I already had Scott on. So I'd love to hear on your end, first of all, how you got started and what's going on, because I want to be part of this, because it sounds so exciting and so innovative.
Well, first of all, I just want to touch upon what you just said, because it's analogous to what I say all the time, is that social distancing is not social isolation. It's actually the opposite. It's times like this where we need to be together and unite, socially distanced, but to be communicative over the phone, outreach. I mean, we have the advantage of speaking to somebody across the world in a minute. 100 years ago when we had our last pandemic in the Spanish flu, they didn't have that medical technology, they didn't have that communication connectivity that we have now. So it's so important when there's any type of trauma that we go through as humanity, or anything that faces us, that we come together, unite, and we are there for each other, and it's outreach. It's so important. But getting back to the second part of your question, my buddy Scott Page. Well, I mean, my platform, SoHo Johnny, and his Think Experience are collaborating on different things now. We're going to be coming out with a tribute song that we're working on. We're going to be releasing soon. It's going to be kind of like an EDM song or maybe dance and everything. But the underlying theme, because he's a philanthropist such as myself, and he did a great show for um, the Watts Conservatory, I think it was in LA, for the education, the musical education of children. That he threw a show on, and I helped support him. And he's a great guy, and definitely a humanitarian. And he ties in. When Scott and I met, we just hit it off right away, because I do the same thing as far as for the American Cancer Society and events and concerts that I've thrown. And I guess we'll talk about SoHo Johnny in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'd love to, because when I was introduced to you by Eileen, through Eileen, she told me, she puts in little parentheses, you are going to be talking to the nicest, most caring person you'll ever want to meet. And I'm like so in awe, because people can just like do their thing and not care, but that's not who you are. And so it is important, because I think that's your essence, is you're caring and you're wanting to help humanity. And that's what I want to do with my show. I want to spread hope, I want to spread joy, I want to spread truth, and I want to spread commonality, because to me, it's like, it breaks my heart when I see people just tearing each other down instead of building each other up. And so I really want to know your story. I want to know who SoHo Johnny is, so that my listeners know who SoHo Johnny is, and so that we can all follow along and take a leaf out of your page.
Well, let me just say this: SoHo Johnny is not about me. Okay, I'm just a guy behind the desk. I was in the real estate business, and it kind of morphed organically along. But before I get into that, I just want to put a shout out to you too for having this show and keeping the line on for everybody, because it's these type of things that we need so much, to just keep people, realizing what life is all about, and that's the true essence of what we have inside and all the good that we have to offer each other, because that's what really matters, and that's what's going to count in the end, toward the end of our lives. It doesn't matter what you have, how much money. Money is a tool. It's necessary, right? It's
Yeah,
necessary.
most definitely. But
It's a standard of value, convenience. But the most important thing, and I'm not getting into religion, whatever your faith is, whatever it is, but because even if you're an atheist, it's common sense, humanity, ethics is what I'm talking about.
I
Thank
agree. I was going to say, I worked in a school, because I work in a church, but I worked in a school that was connected with a church. And the teachers would always get upset when we would have like religion things, like these are things that have to be done, because when you work in a school that's attached to a faith, there's faith-based things that have to be done. And that was my job. I was the faith-based person. And they would say, well, this is interfering with my, we've had this unit and I have a calculus test, or I have this, and I used to always tell them, like, and again, like I said, not to get into faith necessarily, but I always just joke with them. I was like, well, I really just believe at the end of the day, when I'm facing whatever you want to believe is what you're facing at the end of your life, I don't think I'm going to get a checklist going, oh, wow, you made 100% on that calculus test.
you.
It's going to be, what did you do for the
It's going
least, what are you doing for the people?
exactly. It's going to be the love and different degrees of love that you convey to other people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's going to rise you. That's what's going to raise you, and that's what's going to be on your mind. All right, that's what's going to be on you. You're going to be thinking about all the people, and the richest people are not monetarily rich. They're the ones that had the most people around them that loved them and say, no, he or she was a good person, and that's what's going to count the most. But getting back to your other question, SoHo Johnny was just an organic thing that grew. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I was born in New York City. I think in Manhattan or the Bronx border there, back way in the day. And my parents had an apartment in um, um, a big complex called Peter Cooper Village, or Stuyvesant Town, on 14th Street, Manhattan. They then, when I was a kid, I was still in grammar school, and I think they had moved to the Boogie Down Bronx. and I kind of grew up there, and I finished grammar school and high school, and eventually, and they actually moved to the sister complex because they were both built by Metropolitan Life at the time, called Parkchester in the Bronx. But eventually, I guess it's probably late '60s. Well, let's see if I get my years right. Hard to remember years. Late '60s, no, early '70s. They bought a house, and there was a backyard and there was a garage. And what happened is, when I was later on in grammar school, I don't know, maybe sixth grade or whatever, my friends would start coming to the garage after school. Okay. I was kind of like the class prankster, the jokester. I always loved the attention. I would just make everybody laugh. That was just me. That was the type of kid I was. And the funny thing about it, I was a nervous kid. I used to stutter, okay, as a kid, which is kind of funny. And I told myself one day I'm going to command the English language and I'm going to become articulate. But my friends used to come to this garage, and then it started growing in popularity. So people throughout the neighborhood, it became a meeting place after school. And I was loving it. I was entertaining. I had rock music, which is now our classic rock music. I had a strobe light, a black light on, and I just had a great time. And I think that's probably the real origin of my sense of entertainment and just loving to have people smile and, just kind of have a good time. So fast forward from there, my family had four generations in Soho, which is a historic neighborhood in New York City and Manhattan, that, worldwide known destination now. And four generations in trucking business, what was recycling at that day. And they took paper for a few pennies on shekels, probably my grandfather at the time. And then actually, my family grew into a business, and they used waste paper from printers to help make new paper. So it was a form of recycling. But we had a trucking business and in Soho, and then I kind of got involved with in the '80s. I got a real estate license. I got involved with real estate, and I had to start for my family, multi-generational, and and I have a younger brother with myself, and then we just did real estate. Had some properties and did real estate brokerage. I had and delved in there. But I kept on this sense of entertainment. I kept on having reunions and these different things. I was a DJ, not a professional DJ, but like kind of an amateur DJ. So it was my love of music and entertainment and that connectivity with the audience. And it just continued to grow from there. And then, I started, bringing some professional entertainers and artists. And I had lost my dad over 25 years ago to cancer. And I was very motivated by that, because out of something that could hurt us or, whatever, because death is what defines our life, right? And I was determined to try to do my part if I can for cancer. So I started doing shows for the American Cancer Society to raise money. And I've done it over the time, and the people I've met and the love I've got for that is you can't put a value on. I'm just so blessed to have so many people around me now that I've met through doing things like that with my dad. And um, I did a show last summer, for instance. Of course, it's pre-pandemic when we could do these things, and it was based on mostly classic disco for the artist, and it was an all-day festival. And I was blessed. I had Denny Terrio.
Oh,
He
I
had
love
that
Denny Terrio.
in the '70s. Had that show Dance Fever, and he taught John Travolta how to dance for Saturday Night Fever. Right? He
Yep.
came hosted it with me. I had Tavares. Everybody knows Tavares, and especially love disco. Fonda Ray, Sharon Brown, Heat Wave, Double Exposure, Instant Funk. Arnel Carmichael, Leroy Gomez, Santa Esmeralda, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, Planet Patrol, Harold Melvin's Blue Notes, and I had Constantine Morales as well. He's not really classic disco; he's more contemporary, but he was in Rock of Ages. He's got
I know who Constantine is. In fact, he was American Idol, and he was my kids and my vote. And we just kept we would text, and we were heartbroken when he got knocked off. But then we knew he was in Broadway, so we were excited for him.
he's a great guy. He's got a wonderful voice. He came out to support, and I had Monty Rock III, who was the senior statesman, and I love him so much. I call him my Mr. Magnificent. Now, he was the DJ in Saturday Night Fever,
Oh
and he
yeah.
did he did that. It's kind of like the beginning of disco by Discotheques and Sex Elects, Get Dancing. Okay. Oh, my chiffon is wet. My wig is wet. And many people out there are resonating from that right now. And so I did a great show. It was in the summertime. The daytime was underneath a gigantic tent, which would have been great for COVID right now. And the evening was at a ballroom, and I just had, and the artists, I treat them like family. I told them when they come, I said, "This, you're not just work, you're not doing a show here. Please consider yourself family." And it was those type of things. So it kind of grew organically, just over time. I've done things like that. Now I will fast forward a little bit more. I'm skipping around here in the sequence of time. I know, but I lost my mom to COVID months ago. Okay, she
Sorry.
died on May 3rd. Thank you. And same thing, of course, I'm mourning just like everyone is. Your mom's your mom. But, it's a form of energy, and I'm making it something positive. So I had formed, and I had this on the shelf. I now activated a foundation called Let Me Help Come Inc. And one of the things it's going to do is to help raise money for COVID families that lost the breadwinning person of the family or whatever, that's bringing income into the family. So that's new on the horizon, and it's going to be part of the future shows that we're doing right now. A lot of interesting things in the works. Okay, I call it now my mandate. Since we had the pandemic, I call it my mandate for humanity. Is what I'm terming it to do. And as a foundation, unlike a charity, you're not just tied to one charity. So one might be for cancer, maybe something for prostate cancer or something. We're speaking to some people, and also for COVID. So, because it has to be COVID, because listen, cancer affects us all, and the pandemic affects us all, and listen, if we do nothing, then nothing gets done. A big part of what I'm about today. Um, but moving along, I guess, I've had a lot of opportunities that have come my way now. Again, I'm blessed. I'm just this guy behind the desk, but I'm coming out with this song with the tribute song with Scott Page. I've got a reality show in the works, and actually a comic book, which is hilarious.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah. But the important thing, is that it's about the passion. Because if you tie the good feeling that you know that you're doing something good, and you have people around you that are loving and supportive, and you work together to achieve a common goal, and then you tie it to something like music, because I call music the tie that binds. I think it's on my website, SoHoJohnny.com. These things enter my head, and I quote them. Um, I think the language of love is born by the form of musical expression or something like that, and because music is not politics, it's not politics, it's not divisiveness of it all. It's just a commonality. People could just get away. And that's what I love to do. I love to take people away and take them away from their lives a little bit, just put a smile on their face, just a form of entertainment. And now with the pandemic, there's such a strong demand for that. I mean, everything is virtual right now temporarily, but things are going to come back. And I've got some interesting shows in the works now. I have something that hasn't been inked yet, but I will give a hint now, being that we're on the show, a little scoop on your show. We're working on something with Broadway in Manhattan because everything's shut down. Okay.
I love Broadway. I want to be on Broadway someday. I just do.
Something I can't announce it yet officially, but I'll put a teaser out there because I'm very excited about it. And of course, it's for some great causes. It's all about kids and everything. I mean, that's really right on target of what I had in mind when I just came up with the name. Well, I didn't come up with the name SoHo Johnny. That was kind of a nickname that my friends called me because my family came from Soho.
Soho, but it's a great name for you. I mean, and it fits you well because again, I think Soho. When I think of Soho, I think of like artistic. I think of like eclectic. I think of like it's not. It's like a cultural explosion of everything, and I think that's what you are. I mean, that's what you're perfect. That name is perfect for you because you have, like you said, you have so many fingers and so many different things, and you don't try to say, well, this is who I am or this is what I'm going to do. You really, when you find a cause and you find a purpose, you're going to put it all in there, which is that's to me that's what Soho is. So it's a perfect name for you.
Thank you for that. And then uh, maybe some acting as well. It's the opportunities have been coming, and it's really is it's exciting. And coming from a real estate guy, okay, and of course, I've done a lot of pop ups. I have something. PepRealEstate.com is my real estate platform. PEP, like Peter Every Peter, realestate.com, and the event pop up, because we were doing pop ups. Of course, they're much less now temporarily because of the pandemic. And but now coming back because a lot of the retailers now is doing more short-term pop-ups rather than taking long-term leases. So it's across the board. But even with the real estate world, and we're down in Soho, I've met so many people as well, and kind of always was like kind of side by side with the entertainment business over the years. But again, it's all about passion, and it's all about outreach, and it always will be. And that's the mission statement of Soho Johnny.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, I do, like I said, I work at a church, and I was just thinking of you and your mom for a moment. And if you don't mind, I just, like I said, I just want people to realize that, it's very difficult, and to lose somebody, and to lose somebody so quickly. And my heart goes to you, and I'm very grateful, and in awe of that you are moving forward and doing something positive out of what happened with your
Well,
mother.
I think it's important because I'm just one of many people that have lost
Yeah.
die from cancer. People die all the time, and we all have losses. But that is what defines our lives. It's so
Yeah.
important for us to remember. I say it on my platform all the time. Every day is a blessing and a gift. If we could all remember that when we wake up in the morning, every day is a blessing and a gift. How we approach and speak to people, even if it's simply putting a smile on someone's face when you walk down the street, just raise the positive karma energy level of everybody throughout the world. It's just that simple. Doesn't cost money, doesn't cost, just costs a little bit good, a nice gesture. And of course, there's different degrees, of course, the people that you love and outreach, calling up people that you haven't spoken to before during a pandemic. Hi, hey, how you doing? Lift their spirits, crack a joke. It's simple. They were not reinventing the wheel talking about this.
Yeah.
But, so many people, like with my mom, like many people, she was on lockdown. And I was very blessed. Okay. Of course, I'm mourning. Okay. So I'm not showing that right now, but
Of course.
it's important for everyone to allow themselves to mourn because it's part of life in different stages of death, whatever, if you have a loss. It's important. It's how we heal. It's how we adapt. It's how we grow. You can never replace the loss, but you can go on. And it's up to you to take that energy and try to do something positive. For me, I said, you know what? I'm going to do something about it. What better thing can I do in my mom's name and my father's name from cancer than to try to help other people that were in the same boat? Because if we can make a little bit of a difference, and then with other people, we can make a lot of difference. What a beautiful thing that is to do. And what harm could come of that? It's just, and there's no downside to that, right?
It's just
And if
amazing.
you have a good time, which I'm blessed to have a good time, throwing a concert, throwing a party, and having people, this is, it's a celebration of life. It really is. Okay. With my mom, she was on lockdown with I was blessed that she was 93 when she died, but she was on lockdown with the retirement home. And my brother and I felt she was very safe there. We thought they were doing a good job, but somehow, the devil got in,
Yeah.
and she was on lockdown in the hospital. So that was the sad thing, is that, you can't see your loved ones because of the pandemic, whatever. And towards the end, and we had to have only 10 people at the wake. Okay. But we
Yep.
wasn't really a wake. Okay. But I'm not making light of it. What I'm saying is this happened to me like it's happened to all of us. None of us are going to live forever. And, I just hope that my story could resonate with other people that are listening right now and understand that, you know, I think is one of the best things we can do is to manifest it. Allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to feel bad. Take that, okay? You can have people around you or relate to people that care and share. Grief shared is half, joy shared is double, okay? And
Yeah.
that's some of the edicts of life. So, big part of Soho Johnny, but more important, it's just a common sense humanity statement, I think.
No, I agree. Because like I said, I work with families all the time who have to, prepare for funerals and stuff. So I know. And it was like, and that is the hardest thing when you're telling somebody you can only have 10 people. And it's like, how do you limit 10 people to like you said, a lifetime of 93 years? But she lives with us. And I feel like I get to know her. My mom passed away 3 years ago, and she's still very much a part of who I am and what I do. And that's what you just got to do is keep going. But so let's think of something, positive. So I was just curious. Okay, I know you just gave me a little tidbit on the Broadway, which love Broadway, but I was listening. So you have a reality show, you have a comic book, you get some acting going on. Okay, so I want to just know, curious, inquisitive minds, me wants to know because I started doing this podcast and I love it and it's great and I want to. How do you parlay what you do into what you do? So what I do to what you do, because I think it's just amazing how you're just staying so creative. How do you keep yourself going with that creativity? Like what are some of the things that, do you do a lot of reading? Do you do what inspires you to do like all these creative things?
That's an excellent question, and I attribute it to partially to kind of where I grew up. Of course, I was blessed. I had great parents, and I had to start. But I think part of the creativity comes. Listen, I came from the city in the boogie down Bronx. People for all different ethnicities, backgrounds, colors, and everything getting together, working together, and creating something or creating beauty. Okay, and just being brought up there with everybody, in probably one of the greatest melting pots of the world. I think is wonderful because they're one of the greatest things of having diversity with people coming together and creating beauty. That's the greatest beauty you could have is when you bring. It's like you're bringing different colors of the rainbow. You put it together, okay, and it's sunlight, right? It's beautiful. So the creativity. I mean, down where I work I've always done, even in my real estate business, the truck maybe, there's always was a lot of creativity that I was exposed to in businesses. And because a lot of creativity, we went to go downtown. Okay. We go to SoHo and these historic districts where people would open up their businesses, different artists and, I had celebrities that I rented to and this and that and different clubs or whatever, but, somewhat in entertainment or studios and everybody, different concepts that I've been introduced to over time. But I've always had this drive within me that, whatever it is that gets thrown at you, I just get to work. I'll think about it or rationalize. It's like the pandemic. Let me get to work. Let me do something that I can, or just do. Let's prepare. Let's deal with the facts. Don't deal with fear because fear is always the enemy. And I've always had that. I just kind of had that. It's hard to put it into words. It's just had that feeling that no matter what, we're going to go forward, and I'm going to do it. So and being creative, it just comes naturally that I would create something or just think of something a little bit differently or form something or write something. And I think it's just from where I was brought up. I think it's just being exposed to all those different viewpoints and and different business deals too. Privy to other people's concepts and how innovative and creative that they can be.
I love it. I love it because, like I said, I feel as though, now are you have Italian background? I'm assuming, or
I'm Italian descent.
yeah,
Both my parents did. My mother didn't speak Italian.
no,
It was a few generations on both my parents' side, so we're really American. My
yeah,
father spoke a little broken Italian, but they were born. They were both born here in the States, and I think even before them, my grandparents may have actually been here. So we're really were gentrified into the U.S.
yeah.
Uh,
I was just curious because, like I said, I know well, for your last name, first of all, but second of all, I just feel like for me, it's like my family is kind of Italian descent too, but like I said, we're very much Americanized as well. I relate more as an American, like you said, we're part of this whole melting pot, a part of this whole diversity. But I do know that sometimes I think it's the cooking that causes that creativity. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, but it was just like always like something creative was going on in the kitchen.
wow. I mean, that's You just said a mouthful now, not no pun intended. Because listen, I mean, listen, definitely love our food, and I mean, I'm not a galloping gourmet that I cook that much. I mean, the extent of my culinary ability is probably cracking a couple eggs, making an omelet. But you know, I definitely enjoy it. There's nothing like a home cooked meal and some hot meal, and you know, especially when you're not going out as much, right? People are eating home a lot more now. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, Kim, we're all, you know, I stay to say we're all role models to each other. And everything that you and I are talking about, it's so important to remember that no matter what you do, what you have, somehow you're making an imprint on someone else. That's why I send a shout out to you for doing the show, because you're making an imprint on all the followers that would watch the show in a positive way. And that's
And
people like you that really are important. And we thank you for what you do. We just need more people to do this, you know, just to outreach, because there's always going to be problems, right? You know, we're
always.
talking about my career here and everything, and you know, and I love it and everything, but it's a journey. But there's not one moment that doesn't go by to say, listen, I'm blessed to have this opportunity. I'm blessed. I'm going to give it my all. And I'm, you know, I just want to see people. I want to entertain, you know, and it's deep rooted inside me now. You know, like we're working with Scott. You know, when you work with people like Scott Page, I mean, he's a great guy. You know, such positive energy.
He is
Scott,
amazing.
Scott has a saying that he says to me. He says, John, he says, you take lemons and you make lemonade out of it. You know, as if like, you know. And I say the same to him. You know, he says, you know, he has another saying. I'm just quoting him a lot now, my buddy. He says, you know, all that matters is this moment. History is history. The future's not here yet, but the real existence is right now in this moment. What we're doing, how we're thinking.
Exactly. And I love it. And you know, I believe that we're put together for a reason. There's a purpose. And so that's why I'm just feeling so extremely blessed to get to know you. I got to know Scott. I when I got done interviewing Scott, I was like I was elevated. You know what I'm saying? Because he was just so it was so I don't know, prophetic. I mean, it was just like he's just such a great philosopher and humanitarian, and you know, and I get to meet you, and it's like it's just it makes me like go, I want to be more involved because I am inspired. You know, I feel like I'm doing my little niche. I want to make it bigger, not because I'm like looking like, oh, look at me. I want to be a part of this movement, because I think if we all get on this movement, it's going to ripple out and it's going to help more people. And that's what we're trying to do, is just create this ripple of love and kindness and compassion that's kind of been forgotten. And it saddens me when I see people just like within even their own family arguing about something that's not really, you know, at the end of the day, we can't change a lot of things in certain places, but we can change how we treat and act and respond.
That's so true. Listen, there's too much divisiveness in the world right now. The diversity of different people coming together are now we're seeing that. That's a positive thing, coming together and just working on this corporations helping, and you know, and it just takes time. Just give you. I'm always optimistic. Give human spirit some time, and we'll work on. We'll take. You know, I'm. You know what comes to mind now. You know, is that Stephen King did a series years ago. I don't know how many years ago. I mean, 90, maybe 90s, or it could have even before that. And it was a series about a pandemic like we had now, but it killed like maybe 90% of the population of the earth. Okay. And there was like 10% left. So it was almost a little bit like Mad Max, like, you know, blue pockets of people. I don't know if people remember Mel Gibson, the original. I think there was
Mm-hmm.
a remake of that show. But, you know, and it showed actually the emergence of the devil, the actual devil, influencing some people to do harm. And it also showed allusions to, you know, to God, okay? People kind of following the righteous path. And there was some like prophetic people. Like there was this woman, I forget who she was, and she was like, you know, like prophetic. And I can't help but think about that series. It was a great series. And it had, I forget who it had, Gary Sinise, I think, was in it. He's great. I love Gary. Gary's another philanthropist, you know. He's on my bucket list to reach out to.
Oh
He's
wow, that'd be nice.
got so many great things. even for the the military, whatever. But in the stand, in the end, it's the battle with good and evil. Okay, and it kind of reminded me a little bit about that series of what we're going through now, because it kind of it kind of like and again, not getting into religion, but just the underlying theme of kind of why we're here and the purpose of us being here. We've got to take care of business. We've got to do that, but we ourselves will benefit by assisting somebody else, and that type of positive energy is what we want to have exuding out there. So an interesting analogy, and it just kind of came to mind because it just kind of showed the world, and and will people take advantage? Like, I mean, listen, look, we've had looting, right? We've had looting during this pandemic, and these other divisive things going on out there. It's there's always has to be order, okay? And listen, I'm not political at all. SoHo Johnny's platform is never going to be political. It's about humanity, but there always has to be order, okay? So there's a mutual respect. There's love and mutual respect go hand in hand.
No, I agree. And that's just it. I mean, I really have always I want to bring the world being hopeful. I don't think we're ever hopeless. We're always hopeful. And that's what I want to do. I want to bring hope. I want to fill people with even if it's a small ray of sunshine or a small glimmer of something, because I believe that there's obviously there's good and evil because there's always balance, but I think good is always going to outweigh the evil because innately we are creatures of love. So I'm always going to be on that side. you know
I mean, listen, I mean, love is the most positive, most essential force in the universe. It's what sets us apart from everything else. Okay, the capacity to love. It's what makes us human. It probably is the definition of being human. It's the ability to love and to nurture.
yeah, and it's great. So this has been I am enjoying this so much, and as I'm continuing to evolve my show, I really want to make it something where I have people come back, and I would love for you to come back, obviously. But I also want us to start to collaborate on things, and share with me, and I will make sure I send it out to people, because I really feel like it's important that we, especially like you said, in this time, that we're not social distancing in the sense of being away from each other in isolation, but to actually find different avenues and different ways to be able to communicate and to grow in relationships. And since the pandemic, I feel as though I've been very blessed that I've got to meet people around the country, around the world. I actually did a couple interviews with people in Gibraltar, and amazing. When Martin, he was sending me video of him and his wife, and he was showing me the scene outside of the water, and it's I feel like I was in Gibraltar with them. It's so it's really let's not look at what we can't do and look at all the things we can do. And that's one of the things with Scott, what he's talking about, this integrating an experience, and what you're talking about, integrating humanity and making sure people are not disconnected, is so relevant right now. So that's just you guys are on the cutting edge, and I think that's just amazing.
Well, Scott is a very tech oriented, and he is cutting edge. And we just watch what coming around the bend for him. And listen, we have a lot of exciting things that we're blessed to be working with. I've got a show. I guess it's going to be virtual right before Thanksgiving coming out. And the other thing that I did a teaser about, if it's going to happen, is going to be before that. It's going to be somewhat Broadway oriented, but they're all going to be on the common theme, and engaging artists and talent and entertainment and outreach. That will always be an underlying theme of anything I do, and I think Scott as well, because that's the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce for me, for SoHo Johnny. Okay, because of course, listen, there's money. As I say, money is. You always have to, pay bills or whatever. But if you have the ability to be able to bring it together and do something that's going to have connections and just make people feel good about themselves for a night or a day or just a little bit, and just take them away and entertainment, and then even raise money or do something like that for some noble cause. Um, I think it just spreads goodwill, you know. So I want to thank you for having me on the show. I tell people try to ask like how to reach me, SoHoJohnny.com, SoHoJohnny.com. We have a mailing list for a lot of these events. And of course, I'll get back to you and give you I'll fill in the teaser that we're putting out,
Yes.
okay? Because hopefully that's going to be done probably within a week. And we're on Instagram, Soho Johnny, naturally. Facebook, Soho Johnny LLC, or John Soho Johnny Pasquale, Pasquale, on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, we've been putting a lot of stuff on YouTube now, a lot of the shows and trips that we've done, and it's a lot of fun. It's important for us to listen. Remember, it's important to have fun with your lives, and it's important to love yourself, not in a selfish way. Because when you love and accept yourself and forgive yourself and you move on, that's how you can relate and love somebody else and help somebody else. It starts from within, not from
I
within.
agree. I agree. Because that's the sticks. Like, 'cause I wanted to share with you real quick. It's like, there was a lady when I was in my 20s, and I've always like, weight problem, whatever. And I never like thought of myself as like somebody who's like attractive, and that's fine. I mean, I always thought my braids, my asset, and my personality. But I'll never forget. She had ALS, and I was in my 20s, and she just looked at me and she's like, you gotta look in the mirror every morning and thank God for who you are, and look at everything that's amazing and what's special and unique about you. Don't look at, okay, like, yeah, this isn't looking good. I got a wrinkle here, I got a wrinkle there. I mean, and it really changed my life, because I really feel like I can embrace the changes that come within, because like you said, I've the scale's going to go up and down. Our hair color is going, for me, my hair color is going to change. Wrinkles are going to come and go. But my essence of who inside of me is, that's what's important, and the essence of what's in each of us. If we look beyond all the physical and just look at this, our heart and our capacity to be loved, nurture, and to nurture, is just so, it exudes to everybody else, and that's what I see in you as well. And it just makes a big difference, because when we have that kind of positive energy surrounding us, there's nothing else that's going to, the darkness can try to come in, but we got too much light penetrating, and that is what you're showing. And as I love your Soho Johnny, it reminds me of sunlight, like your rays of, like, you're just reaching out to everybody.
Here's my staff.
I love it.
I'm the shepherd, but I mean, there's always people less fortunate than us. That's the key that we have to remember. There's always somebody that's has another trial that could be worse. Okay, thank God we're here on the show to be able to do this. So for me, it's a mandate. It's my mandate for humanity. Okay, to try to make a difference. And if I can make a little bit difference, then I feel, you know, I feel like, I feel like I achieved something. And I hope that we can inspire other people with this show. If everybody's listening to this voice or listens to this show and different times, and if you could just take a moment, just remember these words: every day is a blessing and a gift, and remember that and how you relate to people, and put a smile on someone's face wherever you are, whatever you're doing, for this moment, next moment, tomorrow morning, whatever the case may be. If you do that for us right now, what a beautiful thing to leave around people's minds when we end this show.
Thank you. And as always, you were listening to One Non Blonde. You can find me on YouTube now. I have got the One Non Blonde podcast, and also on Facebook, One Non Blonde. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Soho Johnny. I cannot wait to hear more of things that you are doing, and you are definitely one of my favorite guests, and you will be back on again. So God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. God bless.
Bye.